Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage a representative from Google DeepMind.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's really great to be here. I'm Chris Savcak. I'm the product lead within DeepMind for a technology called SynthID, which I'll get into in a little bit. I'm here to talk today about generative AI, content transparency in the age of AI, and the technologies that we're using to help address some of the transparency concerns around generated content. So it's gonna be a little bit hokey in a second, but what is the impact of generative AI? What does this mean for our world? What do these technologies do for us? I've been working in this space now for about 7-8 years around machine learning and generative text and different modalities around generating videos and images, and I've just seen things kind of really progress. I don't know if folks were aware, but at I/O this year, we launched our latest video generation models, and this didn't embed well, but I just want to share with you kind of where we are at in terms of being able to generate high quality content. This is a video that was fully generated using our VO models. All users can generate videos of this quality right now within Google products, and it also has audio that's generated along with this. So if you watch this video,
it's a force, a wild, untamed might, and she commands your awe with every breaking light.
So if you look at the quality of this video, it's really lifelike. Most folks, if they didn't know, wouldn't be able to say whether this is generated or not. The lighting's great, the focus in the camera is really accurate. This is the current state of where we are with generative AI, and there are a lot of benefits and risks around this. So on the benefits, it's really easy to create wonderful content, high quality content. You could, for storytelling, for entertainment, for different purposes, but it also lowers the bar for scams and manipulation. So I think folks might have been aware of some of the cryptocurrency scams where folks were deep faking, high-profile individuals. It just kind of keeps on getting better, and it's harder and harder for people to discern what is authentic and what's not. On the other side, for large language models doing discovery of new topics, learning, all these different things, it really enables you to do that at a high scale. But it also, at the same time, there's maybe a reduction in the trust and information. So folks don't know if what they're interacting with is authentic, if it's trustworthy or not. So how do we kind of build tools that can help them do that? And then, the other thing about generative AI technology is that it really scales the humans, right? It allows you to do things that would maybe take, I don't know, say you're like a researcher, it would take you a team of grad students to help you develop your content, and now you can, or help you research a topic, now you can do that with a AI model to help you do the research. The other side of that is that now at scale, you can programmatically create content-based manipulation. And there's an example of this that I think Anthropic uncovered about a month ago, where somebody had been abusing their APIs to create an influence as a service company where they were charging people to do political influence and product marketing, and they had Claude, take on personas and influence people online. So it's a real challenge. In some ways, it's interesting what we can create, and in other ways, it can be abused to manipulate folks. Sorry, let me go back in the slideshow mode here. So what is a Gen AI provenance system? What I've kind of talked about giving transparency and what that means. Showing provenance and understanding provenance around generative AI allows us to prevent false claims that content is not AI generated when it is not. Prevent false claims that content is authentic, so people that are trying to pass off generated content is authentic. And it creates trust in these tools and allows us to use the content generated by AI in a way that users can trust. Also in this ecosystem, you need to provide those tools for folks to be able to access the transparency and then allow users and professionals maybe a little bit more robust tool set to verify content and kind of do what they do. So these are like the expert content verification folks that go through, and there's some streaming deepfake of some individual making some claims, and they can go through, use our tools and a whole bunch of their other forensics to help them understand kind of the authenticity of that content. So within this ecosystem of provenance around generative AI, there are a whole bunch of different technological signals and tools that are available. If you look at here, we have fingerprinting indexing, which means everything that you're generating, you're taking a fingerprint of that and you're storing it so that at a future time you can verify that if somebody comes and asks, hey, is this generated by you or not? There's also metadata that gets attached to the image or whatever the content, video, audio that's produced, and that metadata can be in the form of something super simple like IPTC. That's a metadata that is easily accessible and viewable in plain text, or this cryptographically signed metadata like the C2PA standard that you can add to an image. Those have their limitations, but they provide a really great set of details around what has been done to an image, kind of what you can expect from it. There are these generic machine learning detectors that try to predict whether or not something is generated by AI. As the AI generations get better, like the video that we saw earlier, it gets harder and harder for these tools to make detections and accurate predictions, but it's still a signal that you can use. Search is another powerful tool that we use. So this allows you to see how the image or the content is being used in the web, what people are writing about it. It gives you the context around it. I think if folks are kind of been in the space around context manipulation, a lot of people just take some stock photo and make up some manipulated story around it, and this is a really powerful tool to see that that story maybe existed somewhere else before in the past and has been kind of reused and repurposed for some other type of manipulation. And then the watermarks, which we're talking about today with SynthID, provide either imperceptible or visual indicator that something is synthetic. So really in practice, you would want to use all of these or all the signals available to you to help make a decision. We do lean heavily into SynthID and watermarks because it is a really powerful and robust way to embed content provenance within the things that we're generating. So what does SynthID do for society? So as I mentioned, it's a watermarking technology and a detection technology that we apply to all of our Google AI models that are consumer facing. So it's imperceptible or kind of inaudible depending on the modality. And I kind of say Google's AI models here, but I should state that we are engaging with partners, and we'll talk about that in a second. And we are looking to kind of find some trusted partners to get this beyond Google's walls. So one of our objectives around SynthID and kind of the space of content transparency is to build this ecosystem where consumers, developers, and society have the technologies that they need to be able to understand the content that they're interacting with. So the state of where we are right now with SynthID at Google is that it's deployed across all of our consumer-facing products. We have a professional verification portal that I'll demo in a couple minutes that we released at I/O this year, so it's just a couple weeks back. And then there's also information literacy feature within search called About This Image that will expose some information about whether or not something is made with Google AI or not. In our partner ecosystem, we started a really great partnership last year with NVIDIA. So now NVIDIA has their own bespoke version of our SynthID technology that they're using to watermark videos out of their Cosmos World model that they host. We are engaging more industry partners at this time. Not ready to talk about those just yet publicly. And then on the detection side, we're working with Get Real Security, which is a world-renowned security firm that does media verification, and we're working with them to provide them with detection capabilities so that they can provide the public and their customers detection and understanding around synthetic content from Google. On the technology side, where we can, we have been trying to open source this so others can employ this, so other responsible AI labs can leverage the powers of what we've done. So we have a version of SynthID for text that works in the text space, and we open source that to the world. There's a Nature article I can send folks information about, but this is hosted on Hugging Face and GitHub right now, and we're really excited that we were able to kind of get that technology out there. So how does SynthID work? I think I've talked a lot about it. We haven't talked how it works yet. Within the watermarking space or imperceptible watermarking space, you always have this balance of how robust is this invisible watermark to manipulation, to cropping, to compressing, all the things that might happen to something as it gets downloaded and shared across the web. And then you also want to maintain this imperceptibility for quality concerns. Creators and folks will not engage and use products that have visual artifacts or audible artifacts that reduce the quality of the content that's being output. So it's really it's a tight balance, and this is something that has been really difficult to figure out for a long time. We've had years of kind of working in the background in DeepMind on trying to figure out a way to put this together, and we found that sweet spot and that balance around robustness and perceptibility, and we continue to try and improve that all the time. So I think that's one really nice thing about SynthID and what makes it special. So for an image, when it gets generated, each image gets a unique watermark embedded within the pixels of the image. So this is something that just slightly makes little adjustments that we know and that we can learn and that we can detect at a later time. So the output is a watermarked image without any artifacts, any kind of imperceptible, it's imperceptible to humans, but we have models that we can then go back and detect that pattern within the image. So it's a really unique capability, and that means that if you were to take a screenshot of that image, if you were to even take a photograph of a screen using that image, that would still usually pass, and we have ways to kind of measure the confidence, and I'll get into that in a second. On the video space, it's really similar to the images, but now we can embed that same watermark across all the frames in an image. It gets expensive, so you can kind of pick and choose which frames you want to do. But we can do this in a streaming fashion for our products, and it's been really robust. And it gives you a little bit more confidence in your ability to detect when you can kind of do this across a bunch of images. So that's a really neat feature. As the technology improves, making videos, we're able to actually improve our detection capabilities too. On the audio side, it's similar to images. This gets really techy, so I'll kind of try to keep it high level. But we transform the audio into these spectrograms. We find places where we can make little adjustments and embed patterns within the audio, and then we transform it back to audio that is used, or audio waveform that is audible. On the text side, I mentioned this before, we're able to, this is a little bit different than what we do for the media modalities. We can go through and we work directly within the generation step itself, and we're able to adjust the distribution of the words that are picked by the models for generation to create a distribution that we then know and we can detect later on. So it's pretty interesting. I kind of show in the middle here, there's a bunch of different words that the models can pick, or tokens really, and then we pick a token that we can then, that follows a distribution that we would detect at the end. So that's all open source, that part right there. So that's on the watermarking side. On the detection side, as I mentioned, these are probabilistic models, as most machine learning and AI models are. So we can detect with some precision, some confidence understanding of where the signal is and how confident we are in that signal. But it also allows us to localize where in an image that watermark exists. So we are able to embed that watermark in the area, say within an image where there might be AI edits. In the bottom left here, or sorry, in the bottom left on your side, we're seeing that there's an image of New York City, and I think one of my British coworkers added a whole bunch of hedges to the front of the buildings there, and we detected that the AI edits were on the buildings in that front. On the audio side, we can detect the segments within the audio where somebody may have inserted some synthetic content. And on the video side, unfortunately, this is all generated, but we will show you exactly where within the video the AI edits or AI generation would occur. And we do that both for the video and the audio. I touched a little bit before about robustness and kind of what this means. So if you look at the original image on the left of this koala, you might apply a whole bunch of interesting filters. As things get shared on the internet, there's plenty of social apps that allow you to kind of add different stickers and text and colorize stuff. We're able to detect all of those, all these different transformations, all these perturbations of this image, including the photo of the screen on the right. The limitations are what you can see here. If people end up blocking out the whole photo, of course, it's not detectable. If you zoom into a certain amount, there's limitations there. And if you add a bunch of noise, but it really reduces the quality of the image where somebody wouldn't trust this. And then you can lean on all those other technologies I talked about around using reverse image search or looking for metadata, trying to find a version of the image that would actually that would be unmanipulated. All right, so I'm going to get into a demo in a second, but I wanted to leave this up here for a minute. At I/O this year, we launched a trusted tester version of Detection Portal for SynthID. I invite you all to join the wait list. And in the how'd you hear about this field, there's like an other part. You can put SCSP Expo, and we can kind of streamline some of the folks to get onto the tool and test it out. I think we're going to be doing another onboarding session in about a month. So if you can get in there, join the wait list, and we'll be able to add you. So let me jump to the podium here real quick, and I'm going to do a quick demo of the detection tool. And this is what it looks like. It's a pretty simple interface that allows you to drop in image and audio right now. So I will demo a little bit of the image first. Let me see. I think this might. Are you switching me? All right. And this is an image that was that had an AI edit where somebody had added a camel into the Rockies here. And you can see in the bottom it says, made with Google AI. And if we look at the more detailed side, we can see that this is where the AI edits occurred, right in that middle section there where the camel existed, so that's where the watermark exists. And the middle portion here, this is where we're extremely confident that there are no AI edits, so this is authentic to the best of our knowledge. And you can kind of see in the border regions here, we're unsure about it, meaning if this was something of interest, an area of interest to you, you should probably do some more investigation to understand what was going on there. And then I'll go back and I'll do an audio test. I don't know if my audio is here. All right. Sorry. So I have there's a YouTube short or a YouTube podcast where somebody was testing out and demoing some of our synthetic music generation technologies, and we're able to upload this, run detection across all the segments, and start seeing, well, where within the audio.
Imagine being able to get your favorite singer to make custom songs just for you. Well, Justine and I got a sneak peek at this crazy artworks. When creating a YouTube short,
here. This is the person
my
talking,
mind was blown. Take a
and then
listen.
you'll see this is the generated content from our models, and that's it detecting the segments of where it is, and then you can see where the human's talking, where the person's talking. It doesn't detect the signal there. One of the other things that we haven't released yet, but I will show today, was just we do have a video detector, and this is something that we're working on releasing in the next month or two, where the video that I showed you earlier, you can now detect that as well, and you would be able to detect the audio and the video track and be able to see where the synthetic content existed. This isn't that interesting of an example because the whole thing is
This ocean, it's a
synthetic,
force.
but you can see here the blue portion means that all the frames are synthetic, and what you can see here is just the level of confidence around the audio, which is where the person's talking, and that's also the other part that's synthetic there. So that is that's the detection tool that we have available right now. And then we're working on ways in which we could embed this further within some of our products. So I'm going to maybe switch back to the presenter view here, just to wrap up. Is this one on? Oh, great. So what does this look like at scale? What does robust Gen AI detection look like at scale? We talked a lot about SynthID and imperceptible watermarking, but really, I think we're just at the beginning. I think there's a lot of opportunities ahead to build a much more robust detection and content transparency ecosystem. So you can see, some of the most powerful tools in the space: watermarking, metadata, fingerprints, and we use those, and people get the signals exposed to them, but it's on them to really figure out what to interpret from them. And the content usage space, about how the content's being used, is really important in understanding, but usually media forensics experts are the people that go in and kind of start leveraging those tools. So they're using search, historic usage of the images. They're looking to understand the narratives that surround that content and how people are talking about how they're using it. They're even looking at actor level aggregation. Is this person just generating content that's completely synthetic? And that was actually one of the things that I believe the Anthropic folks or other folks had detected, was that you had all these users that were just generating synthetic content, and they were able to then detect like this whole network of inauthentic content and manipulation. So I think like the next steps that we're looking at, the interesting part is how do we take all these, leverage our AI capabilities, and really provide a comprehensive understanding of this content for users and for professionals. I think we'll probably focus on professionals at first. It's a really difficult thing to try to communicate to users. They want a very binary yes or no answer, but in reality, there's always some complexity and some nuance around content. So that's some of the next steps of what we're looking at. Around future opportunities, I think there's a lot of things that we can work on in this space, not just Google, but kind of everybody here, where we really build this ecosystem around transparency and figure out ways to distribute access to verification provenance information so it doesn't just sit in one place. We can expand transparency capabilities. As I mentioned, we're looking to bring on more partners in the SynthID space. We've open sourced some of our technologies. We really want to keep on pushing that so that it matches the pace of our AI advancements. We also want to train analysts. I mentioned before we work with Get Real Security, and we're seeing a need to train more analysts to understand the technology around generative AI, what it can do, how to interpret these signals, how to interpret SynthID output. We do think engaging the general population around what's possible is really powerful. I'm still somewhat surprised at how many people didn't realize that we can generate videos of that quality that I showed earlier, and I think folks are kind of just coming up to speed with what is possible, and it's only going to get better and better. So I think that's a really important part. And then as I mentioned before, we could use our powerful LLMs or powerful AI models to try to help better understand the content, the context around it, the synthetic watermarks, and really come up with a comprehensive view of what the background is of the content, whether it's what the intent is around it, and what they should trust and what they can trust in this space. So I think that is the end of my talk, and I'm happy to take questions. I don't know if we have a minute or two. If folks have any questions, I can hang out here for a minute, or I'll be on the floor for a little bit after this. You can come grab me and ask anything. Questions?
Thanks for the talk. Is part of the SynthID provenance roadmap going to tackle the issue of like provenance, like citation, and like where the source, like for example in text?
Yeah.
How does the AI know this? Where did it come from? What's the source material? What did it read?
Yeah. I think that, so let me try to unpack that for you. So you're asking if what we generate, that we'd be able to show the provenance or attribution of that, or what people are interacting with, if we can go and kind of show them the provenance of what they're reading or what they're seeing. Is it?
Yeah, if I ask the AI a question, it writes me an answer, and there's a little footnote or something that says, we got this information from that.
Oh, on the attribution side, yeah. So it is a little bit different than my space, but yeah, I mean, this is something that, unfortunately, I'm not the attribution expert, but it is a space that folks are actively looking at. How do you attribute the output? We are, if you see in some products that we have, I think we have like Notebook LM over there. It's a really interesting way that you can kind of see that if you build your own knowledge base. So Notebook LM allows you to throw in like a couple hundred documents and start interacting with your content using a chat interface. So using our Gemini models, and that does a whole bunch of attribution where it'll show you like little footnotes saying, hey, this is a document highlighting the source and the attribution. It's definitely like a much more closed ecosystem. I don't know what the plans are to do that at large. We do show some of our like deep research models that will show the thinking steps and kind of what it goes through and what happens in that space. But I'm also not the expert on that, so I don't want to, I can't say much about that. Thanks, though. That's a good question. Thanks. Any other?
I believe you mentioned that you want to find a balance between robustness and imperceptibility. Could you explain the robustness again?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the last part. Sorry.
So, I believe you were explained that you want to find balance between robustness and imperceptibility, right?
Yep, the balance.
Wait, can you explain the robustness again? Like
What
do you
the
mean by that?
robustness means? Yeah, so one of the difficulties around creating an imperceptible watermark is this idea of what happens when the image that you watermark gets compressed or cropped. People take a small cutout of it. People add a whole bunch of different, filters and transformations on it like this. Normally, when you do that, you really reduce the ability for a model or any approach to go through and detect that the watermark is there. And so this is a really hard thing. And if you wanted to, when you try to do something that's robust to these types of manipulations, you end up adding visual artifacts or things that people can see or color shifts. And it's always this kind of balance, right? It's a closed system almost of how much information you can add without disturbing what people can see. And by taking a model-based approach, machine learning approach to embedding the content there, we're able to do really slight shifts that people can't see, but that then our models can learn and can pick up on. So it's kind of like a two-sided coin of like creating models that can add the content, and then also creating powerful models that can detect it. And that was the kind of magical part of SynthID. So, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we're done, but I'll be out at the Google booth if you want to grab me and ask any questions. Appreciate your time. Take care.